Okay, so I'm kind of forcing myself to do this right now. Not in a bad way, in a good way, but bear with me. So I was watching this hokey rom-com. I like to feed my joy occasionally through rom-coms. And so as I was watching it, it was about two people at a midlife point, if you will. And and as I was just like, just an observation of it, right? Like all the experiences that often we are trying to talk about or move through, right? As human beings, witnessing each other's humanity, trying to figure this thing that is living life, right? And I've been lately reflecting myself really deeply, and it feels like such a strange place to be, where I I'm thinking about my life and what I've done and what I've experienced. And I'm reflecting on what is my opinion about my own life. You know, the good, the bad, all of it. And as I was, as I've been kind of sitting with that, like, what do I think about my now? What do I think about the future? Who am I? Right? And I think that there are these layers and layers, and this is why multidimensional language is like important to me, because I'm like, there's the world is happening, and your own internal ecosystem is also going through changes and also having experiences. And I've found myself lately so drawn in. I'm at a stage in life where, I'm perimenopausal, and there are changes happening, changes in my perception, my perspective, changes in how my body is and feels. And I think about how we often kind of run from the discomfort of these check-ins that I think the universe gives us, or the Holy One gives us, that we're able to go, oh wait, what have my days been up until this moment? And I think that we're afraid of looking back, and we're afraid of really tapping into our own perception of ourselves, because we're afraid that the scariest things that we've heard about ourselves are going to be true, right? Or that our lives didn't measure up or didn't fill in the blank. And so people bypass this stage where you can feel the transition from whatever your life has been, from your 20s and your 30s, right? Like your 40s is bringing you to this energetic texture that everybody talks about, the 50s being amazing, right? And one of the things that I've been sitting with is like my own self-concept that is being confronted in a different way. And that when we are living our lives and we're just like going about the daily business, trying to be as mindful as possible, does not equal, like, consciousness does not equal that you will always be aware of when something has changed inside of you or changed about the context that you exist in, right? It's something that you may notice over time, that you no longer feel a connection to an aspect of yourself that was driving the car, metaphorically, right? And so as I'm sitting here, I wanted so badly to journal, and I am, but I also wanted to talk about one of the things that I feel the same sense of, like, wanting to be healed, or wanting things to be perfected, whatever that means, but like from a place of like, you've overcome the struggles, right? Like, you overcome the struggles, you're on the other side of it, and you talk from that side. And I remember when I was a teen, I had decided that I was always going to speak from the truth that I'm existing inside of, because we need more people that are willing to talk about it when you're in it, and what it's like when you're actually in the experience. And that who you are becoming in that process requires you to, one, be vulnerable with yourself in order to even remotely be vulnerable with anybody else. And so I wanted to share from this place of like, here's this experience happening in my life. My kids are grown and they're building their lives. And that is wonderful, right? That's the assignment, the job when you have kids. You're meant to support this human in becoming the fullness of themselves, hopefully with as little scuff marks as possible. But I feel like that's a bit of an impossibility because you don't get to decide what learning path people need to take, right? And so there's that piece where it's like, that season of life comes to an end, and then your body's changing, your mind is changing, your priorities are changing. And looking back, and so as I'm watching a movie, I'm watching these people's lives, just kind of unfold to this place of like surrender to what is, because life is too short for anything else is really the thing, right? And I feel like there's a part of that for me, when I'm looking at going through these changes and transitions and feeling different about things or about myself, or looking back at parts of myself that I may have left behind. And I was thinking, because sometimes when I write, I like to write in a very raw voice, right? Like I'm in it. And so I was imagining journaling in that way. And as I was imagining, I want to write, I need to sit and write. That's when I realized this being rawly in it, being in your human experience, imagining the yous that have existed. I remember when I was seeking out mentors, and then when I was seeking out like wise women, and I used to correspond with long form snail mail with an elder woman who I found on the internet from a forum of women. And for me, that was such a glorious time. It was such an exciting time for me because I was connecting with a woman who loved homemaking, and that's where I was at then, right? And all of those beautiful things. And I was like so excited about that. And I was reflecting from where I'm at now, I'm 48, and where I was then. I've evolved, I've changed. And I think that sometimes when life is just happening, you forget to look at yourself from the place of being objective and saying, wow, you've done a good job. You've changed. You've grown. Some things aren't the same. You were afraid and you still confronted, right, the experience. You didn't know what the fuck you were doing, but you still showed up to say, okay, what am I going to do with this? And that to be able to see not so much where you fucked up and stay there, right? Because that gives us information toward change, but that you're also able to see yourself from a place of grace and compassion, and that yes, pieces of you had it imperfectly, but also there were pieces of you that you were so fully aligned, and that you were badass as well. Can you look back at your life and give as much credit to the beauty as one would give to the challenge, right? And I think that there's something about that, right? That it's so important to be able to say to ourselves, I am going to step into this experience as my human self. And when I get to this midpoint, whatever it is for you, I'm not sure why this changing, moving so much, but I'm not sure what that is for you, but that you can look back with grace and compassion and know that now you have an opportunity to build something entirely new. You get to make something new and something different if you can just come home to yourself and be okay with the fact that you have changed, that you've learned the lessons, that you've taken on the teachings. Because when you do that, when you can look at yourself, it becomes a little less scary what the future can bring you, because it's going to bring you that which you can manage because you've made it thus far. And that you can also grow and let go of the old things that no longer are they don't serve you anymore. Right? You're stuck. You're challenged. You've settled. And it's not like settling is a bad thing. And it's not any of those things, but there's actually no growth in your life and you're waking up and wanting something different. That is okay. It is okay to be where you're at. It is okay to struggle inside of that, and that how you're contending with who you are and who you were and where you were is to honor. You have to honor the light, and as much as you would honor the shadow, you have to be able to say to yourself, I honor all the me's that I've been, and here I am, and now from a place of choice I want to move and step into being a me that allows myself to experience whatever comes my way, because I know that I'm able to be with that. And I think if you just give yourself a break, give yourself a moment, give yourself some space, you'll learn that you can trust yourself once again. You can honor, you can create for yourself an experience of this life that is not about, the accolades. It's not a binary, and we're not living stuck in some sort of like, this is what I need to be doing, right? This is what I need to be doing to be who I am. And without giving yourself a chance to ask the question, do you really? And is there anything else available to you? Is there something deeper that you long to be with, that you long to experience? And to let those pieces of yourself to come out to play, right? To be okay with who you are and where you're at. And that, to me, I don't think, and I think it's relative to when you're ready, because I feel like I don't hear enough conversation about this midlife, but also because I'm just arriving at a place where these thoughts and these reflections are coming my way, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's good to question who I am. It's good to be able to have this experience where even I feel the anxiety of change and the meaning that I make of that, right? Like, I get to equally be in my own experience. Because so far, when you're raising kids and when you're doing all of the things, you're so on and so busy. And I think that that's as it should be. That's how we lose our sense of self, as focus and all of those things. And you have to circle back, because you figure out at some point that you lost yourself, or you forgot yourself, or you forgot the kid that would climb the trees and didn't care about getting hurt. You forgot about all the nighttime jokes under the blankets with flashlights that you did with your cousins. You forgot that you loved, I don't know, maybe etch-a-sketching, or you know what I mean? Like, the pieces of you that actually you want to bring in more fully, because you're now the adult that's safe enough for all these things to integrate and to be together. So look at your past with grace. Honor where you're at in the present, but also know that the future, it's wide open. It's wide open, and the things mean only what you want them to mean, because that's just the truth about it. So if we can just get to this place and be like, oh, I understand what midlife is asking of me. It's asking me, am I happy? I understand why I feel a little confused and a little challenged, because it's asking me, is this really what I want? I understand why relationships become so like, everything was going fine and all of a sudden, because again, it's asking, are you present? Are you alive? Are you here? Do you want to be here? If not, where do you want to be? So if life is asking you, where do you want to be? I want to invite you to something that I recently had decided for myself. I was like, I am just going to be open. I'm just going to be open to whatever and wherever is the next adventure coming my way, with no restrictions, which is so hard, right? So I've been thinking about relocating and things like that for work, which is such a beautiful thing, right? Didn't expect it, would not have guessed it, and yet here it is, and I'm excited, right? Like, allowing myself to continue to open up, continue to flourish, continue to find the treasures in the moments of the now. So I want to challenge you. Can you be open? Can you be honest? Can you actually be there for you in a different way, in a way that's actually inviting self-trust, that no matter what happens in life, you know you got you. You know how to reach out to get the support that you need for you. You know that you're the person that wants to be in reciprocal relationships, that the connection is so sweet. It's like honey, right? Like you want to come back to it over and over and over again. It's nourishing. It holds, honey's a humectant of sorts, so it holds moisture, right? It does that thing. And I think that if we can give ourselves that chance, maybe be open to the possibility that you can trust yourself. Be open to the idea that no matter what's going on or what has happened, you are going to alchemize all that medicine into something even more beautiful. Open to the fact that maybe something was an absolute no, and midlife is asking you, hey, are you sure this is still a no for you? Can we allow ourselves a chance to dance? And so I want to challenge you, if you're a type of person that does have very very decidedly committed ways of being, also known as stubborn, but we'll use committed ways of being, maybe, just maybe, your breath and kind of the bringing back of pieces of you is going to exist if you actually let yourself just for a minute breathe and just for a minute play with the option of it. Maybe just let yourself have the moment. You don't know if another shall come, but in this one you're going to be absolutely honest with exactly where you're at and exactly what you're afraid of and exactly what you're in awe of, exactly what you're needing to do for this next turn, and you have no idea what the fuck you're doing, but you know by now that you got it. Whatever it is, you got it. And you're going to be okay. Because I think if there's more people accepting themselves in those ways, loving themselves, and being honest enough to be soft enough to touch that which is sacred in each other, I think we might have something really beautiful that'll hold us together no matter the changes we're going to go through as a community, as a society. Because the thing that cannot be broken are the bonds that are intentionally made. When you're being your most honest and authentic self, your softest self, your strongest self, that's the shit, that's the glue of the society that we're trying to build for our children's children's children. It starts with you. It starts with me. It starts with us being able to lean into the things that were and the things that weren't, with our changing bodies and our changing minds, with our changing of what's priority, being with those moments with absolute transparency, because it is our humanity that is at stake if we don't give ourselves a chance, if we cannot believe for something more than what has been. Each one of us are responsible for the hope of a tomorrow. But if you can't hope within yourself, how can you hope for a world? And so my hope is that you would take the moment to reflect. If you're at a midlife place where it's asking you, is this who you are? Is this who you want to be? Is this really the juiciest you? Is this the most alive you? Or are you settling? Are you too comfortable? Have you mistaken that for actual aliveness, right? And when it asks you that, I hope that you can be honest enough to be where you're at. And then also be open to a future that you can't fathom. You can't fathom it, but you're living it and creating it. Because I think that's what open does. That's what connected does. That's what love does, right? So anyways, all right, I'm going to get off, but I just wanted to share that with you because I've been spending weeks already afraid and observing my fear and observing how it felt about moving or changing my pace or changing my work choices or any of those things. And noticing how on top of that I can feel like I'm getting older, and there's so many things I'm like, I overheat. I'm like, My hair is driving me crazy. There's just things going on, right? Just things going on. And I'm like, what is all of this? What is all, I'm like, it just cracks me up because I think that more often, like, I'm just like, just flitting around being pissed about I have bigger things to be pissed about, but it's like really the small things that throw me over the deep end. And I'm like, and it's because I'm contemplating life while I'm living life, while I'm noticing, that things have changed in a way that they're not undone, And so I just wanted to share this moment right here at the age of 48 and at the place of having grown kids and trying to figure out, like, life is uncomfortable in ways that is an opportunity for growth, not the pain, right? It's not that it's uncomfortable with the pain that I've experienced, not those things. It's like it's uncomfortable in a way that it's causing me to reflect and to kind of, like, instead of like trying to run from it, or instead of being like, oh, I need to be thinking somewhere else, I'm stopping and I'm like, what's this energy that I'm sensing inside of myself, this wanting to taste the texture of something deeper, something much more earthy, and it's like, like soil grounded at the roots of trees, like that thing where it's like warm and it's also wet, it's alive, and it's the grit of your being. And I became so curious about that. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Look at me, I'm scared. And I'm like, oh, so these are the things you're doing when you're scared. And then I have to like talk myself down from, I don't know, sewing a whole new curtain or something, or just flipping out on trying to write something. And I'm like, what's happening for me? And I'm noticing some things and having some reflections about my past and the moments that led me up to here. And I was like, wait, I don't think I like these reflections. Some of them are so judgmental and so harsh. And I'm like, that's not the story I want to tell. So then what is the story? What is the thing, right? Just curious about this place where I'm also like, in the bathroom trying to fix this like situation of some of my silver hairs, because they're militant in their commitment to just not go how I want. And I'm literally having a meltdown about that, right? And so I'm like, oh, this is what it means to be in this place of being undone, having so much of life cause attention that just, you're like, wait, why is this so uncomfortable? What is coming up for me? What is coming up for you? What are things that you find yourself, you're like, I'm not settling for that. I'm not co-signing that. No, I used to do that, but I'm not doing that anymore. I don't want to be a part of that. Fuck that, right? And this is how they say by the time you get to 50, I mean, it's getting really juicy because your ass is like, the fucks just, you understand what's at stake and you want to use your fuckery for good, right? So I'm like, so this is where it's at. It's live in the moment. So this is me with an extraordinary amount of vulnerability at 12:33 a.m. on a Monday. Full moon in Aquarius is coming, like, just, it's like right now, right? And so here we are, like, here it is. This your life, this my life. What's up? Are you where you want to be, and from the inside out, not the outside in? And if you've been shitting on yourself because you're not okay with who you used to be, you can change your mind tomorrow. So for all of those wonderful things, and I don't know what's going on with this screen thing, but it's just like crazy. But anyway, for all of those wonderful things, I pray that you stay open no matter what is happening in the outside world, what is happening your like in your inner world. Like, we have to resource these things. Give yourself an opportunity to stay open. Give yourself, feed your joy. Be willing to confront those things you're afraid of and redefine the story, knowing that there's always more. Let yourself have that. That's just going to make you juicier. It's just going to make life, you can really taste the freshness. You can be here now and be okay. So I love you. I hope that with all the things going on in the world, that you're finding the moments and the opportunities to nourish yourself deeply, to care for yourself in different ways. While you do all that good work that impacts us all, if it's at your buck and you're not okay, really, because we sometimes take the soma for granted, then I hope you come back home. Come nourish yourself. Come take care. Come feed your joy. Because that's the stuff that the love is made of. So, hasta luego, mi gente. Adiós.